Hello. I think we're live. I
Hello.
don't. Well, it says no one here, but we'll get. Oh no comments. Well, for the early birds, if you want to just say, no, where you're from or how many words you've written so far before before we get started.
It's sensitive information, Shaelin.
How many words you've written is very sensitive information.
I know.
Well, how many words have you written?
Oh, I'm not answering that question. um,
Look, I a few days ago I realized this was days ago, okay? So not even now. I
mhm.
realized that I was 19,000 words behind. So,
That sounds like you have a lot more words than me. So, so don't worry about it. Um,
Guys,
like,
you have to introduce yourselves.
oh, hello. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Shaelin. You might know me from this channel. Um, Today, I'm here live to run some writing sprints. And I'm a NaNoWriMo veteran, but I've gotten kind of lazy with it recently, so I am definitely not winning. So, fellow people who aren't winning, I'm here with you.
yeah. Uh, Hi, I'm Kleopatra, fellow non-winner. Uh, I have never won NaNoWriMo. But I'm not really trying to do the full 50. So, trying to
Neither am
take it
I.
gently. Yeah.
Yeah, gentle NaNoWriMo.
Uh,
I call it NanoTrimo.
oh,
It's NaNoWriMo for people who are just trying their best.
that's cute. I like
Yeah.
that. I think that takes a
But it
little
seems
bit
like a lot
kind
of
of.
people here are kind of killing it. A lot of people are like saying you've written like 45,000 words or
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
So, you know, that's awesome. I'm motivated by that. Oh, so M.A. Malcolm, 3 paragraphs thus far? I feel you on that.
Somebody has 95,000 words. That is insane.
You guys are so much stronger than me. What kind of stuff is everyone writing, genre wise?
We have some
Ooh,
poetry.
poetry. That's cool.
I really hope you're not trying to stick to any kind of word counts there. You don't have to.
50,000 words of poetry. Be a lot. Ooh, a script. That's cool. Love screenwriting. Not doing nano, but editing a book. Crime novel. That's cool. A lot of people
Romance.
are writing memoirs. That's cool. Because that means like I'm surrounded by people who've led interesting lives. If you guys are all writing memoirs,
So many genres.
I know, right?
Small town murder mystery. I would read that.
Yeah, I feel like it's the time of year for that too. You know, you just want to like curl up with like a little murder mystery. So it's horror disguised as romance. Tell me more. It's after 10. Are we starting? I think we'll probably start in like 1 minute. Just give people one more minute to show up, since I assume not everyone will arrive on the dot. But yeah, we'll just give it like 1 minute. And then if people show up late, they can just they can just catch up. It's not going to be a complicated event.
Yeah. Uh, do you want to kind of tell people how we're doing this with the timers, Shaylin?
Yeah, so if you've never been to one of our writing sprints before, basically we'll just do probably 3 writing sprints for between 15 to 10 minutes, kind of just depending on what everyone is feeling. Probably start with 15. And basically, we just set a timer and then you go write your own thing for 15 minutes. And then everyone comes back and just kind of shares how much they wrote. Um, yeah, Cleopatra and I may share some productivity tips or motivation tips if you're stuck, but it seems like you guys are doing better than us. So maybe we need the tips from you guys.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe instead of a Q&A at the end, we should just take tips from the audience.
yeah, we need you guys to tell us. So you guys are all like 40,000 words in.
If anybody's not working on anything specific, you can look up Reedsy prompts. We have like over 1,000 prompts on the Reedsy website, so you can just take a random prompt and see where it goes.
Yeah. Or do this week's contest. Yeah, wow. Since for those of you guys who are active in the chat, if you see latecomers asking like, what's going on or if there will be a replay, feel free to just, you know, shoot them a quick explanation.
Yes, please. Where am I? I am in London. Although I'm not from London, I'm from Cyprus. I think I've answered the next question on the chat.
Should we get started with the first one? Or should we share a couple motivation tips?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to go first?
Sure. Okay, so the 3 tips that I prepared are, I would say they're less to do with motivation and they're more to do with what to do if your book's not working, because mine was going so badly. But now it's good. So these are things that I did that helped. So it's less to do with motivation and more stuff to do with your book not working. The first one is if you're stuck, I think it can really help to just go more into backstory. Especially like during NaNoWriMo, you can easily move the flashbacks later, but if you're stuck on the book, just like start going into flashback and you can learn a bunch of really interesting things about your character. You don't really have to worry about, like it's so easy to move a flashback later on and it can kind of just like be a good way to like restart a story or get your words done for the day if you are stuck.
I really like that. That's kind of what I'm doing today. I'm taking
Same.
I'm taking some advice from one of Brandon Sanderson's videos. I think you like reacted to some of that last year on this channel. But one of his tips that I liked was I think it was mostly for like brainstorming before you start, but I don't do very proper planning, so here we are.
Me neither.
So I think he said to pick a character or the main character and like write a monologue from their voice and kind of their point of view. It's kind of a character exercise rather than actually kind of continuing the story, but I'm hoping that it's gonna help. Just kind of feeling more secure in that voice, I think it's really important. So yeah, I like that. My little tip is, it's not really mine, I'm just passing it on. So I recently went to see George Saunders at the London Literature Festival.
I saw him like 7 years
been
ago,
all over
but
the
he's
place.
so good. He's so good.
Yeah, and obviously he doesn't just write, he teaches writing. So a lot of the stuff that he talked about was how he kind of helps his students when they're feeling stuck. And he mentioned that he always encourages people to reframe what beliefs they have that are getting them stuck, and like, try and turn them into something positive. So the example he gave was if you have like imposter syndrome and that's what's stopping you, then the positive spin on that would be you are somebody who has great respect for the craft, and that's like something to make you feel nice about yourself instead of like hold you back.
That's really
so
good.
I'm just passing that on because I really liked it. It's not mine, but
Yeah.
thanks, George Saunders.
And yeah, passing along to, if anyone here ever has the chance to see George Saunders, you should go because he's so smart and very funny and probably one of the best like writing talks I ever went to actually was George
and
Saunders.
very generous with random advice.
Yeah. All right, should we do a sprint?
Yay!
For everyone, I feel like it's 7 after, so I feel like if you're here, you're here. So, yeah, I think we'll probably start with 15 minutes. I think we usually start with 15 minutes, and then maybe we can do like a shorter one at the end if everyone is feeling tired at that point.
Sounds good.
But while we all are at full attention, maybe do like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, here it is. Ooh,
Oh,
starting.
Oh, it's already begun. Okay.
Let's go. Woohoo! How was that,
Hello.
Shaelin?
That was pretty good, I feel like. I left off in the middle of a scene when I was writing yesterday, so it's luckily pretty easy to get started, I think. How about you?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I really like this monologue exercise. Um, it it feels like it's lifting some of the kind of story restraints that I usually find myself in
Nice.
with sprints.
Yeah,
How
yeah. I sometimes find it's hard to do sprints in like the middle of a book sometimes because it's like it feels like such a time pressure to get into the story. I feel like it's a good time to do
yeah.
exercises and stuff. How many
How did it?
words did everyone get?
Yeah. Do you want to
220.
share, Shaelin?
I'm just checking right now. I one second. I have to remember where I started this scene. 452. I'll take that.
Really
Okay.
nice. I did 402, so
Nice.
also happy.
186, but I caught the sprint late.
Welcome, welcome.
Wow. 482 in 15 minutes. 500. And I mean, it doesn't really matter how much you write. It's really just about like helping you get stuff done. Uh 566. Some of you guys
Oh,
can write fast.
yeah, that's like nonstop.
Yeah. Like I felt like
Somebody
I was
says
writing like more
somebody
nonstop
says
than I normally do for.
1100.
How fast can you type?
That's impressive.
That's very impressive.
Oh, I'm seeing a couple people saying they tried the monologue. I'm glad
Oh,
you enjoyed it.
nice.
I am too.
It's
Thanks,
really, I
Brandon
feel like it's a
Sanderson.
really good exercise. Like, once you kind of get into a monologue, 564, they're totally out of sequence with what I've written in the past month, but they may turn out
They
to be
don't have to
useful.
be in sequence.
Yeah. Sometimes writing out of sequence, especially I think if it's like during a sprint, if you just need something to like get you writing again. Sometimes if you're stuck just writing out of sequence, I feel like it's a good place to start.
Someone says in their story they're about to throw magic marbles down a chimney. Intriguing.
I'm intrigued.
I wonder what happens when they're thrown. Anyway. Um, oh, somebody's asking what the monologue idea is. It's just picking one of the characters in your existing story or just coming up with a new one and starting to kind of rewrite a monologue in their voice. It doesn't have to be a magnificent story, it doesn't have to progress anywhere. It can just be about you figuring out what that character sounds like.
While we're waiting for the next bit, we should have a bit of a poll whether folks watching at home would rather have the sound of basically me typing or absolute silence during the next bit. Because I guess there is the option
Yeah.
to turn your speaker down, but I can understand it.
Yeah. Here's the thing, ironically, for everyone who was distracted by our typing. That was not us. We were muted. Martin put on ambient typing to create the mood of a writing sprint. But maybe it's not as helpful as it sounded in theory.
You mean to say Martin wasn't penning his masterpiece all this time?
Yeah, Martin is penning his masterpiece in the background.
From the realm beyond.
Who knows? Every one of those taps, another fantastic word being added to a story.
Yeah, that's inspiring. It's like, wow. Each tap,
It,
a word added to Martin's masterpiece.
it seems like a divisive choice.
Well, I don't know. I think it's the people who don't like it who will say something.
Here's the thing. I put on music when I write. I could not hear it. So if it distracts you, just pop on your writing playlist. It will absolutely cover it up because the typing is pretty faint. And then if you want the typing, don't, and you will be able to hear it.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you can turn the video volume down a little bit so you hear us when we start talking again, but you don't have to listen to the actual typing noises.
All right. In which case, I shall keep it on, and if you'd like, you can turn it down. Oh, this might be a good time to. Hi, by the way, I'm Martin from the Realm Beyond. Cleopatra, can you tell the folks a bit more about our Discord?
Yes. Well, we started it in the summer, I think, and there are a bunch of different channels, I think we call them. I can't remember. So there's different genre channels. There's one for NaNoWriMo folks. There's a kind of announcements channel where you can make sure you're not missing any of these new videos on this channel. And there's just general chat if you're looking for anybody else writing, wanting to do writing sprints, or just want to share first lines or discuss all things writing. Does that cover you, Martin?
Yes, I'm very happy.
I'm glad.
Yeah, I've pinned the link to the top of the comments, so you can use that.
Shaelin, do you want to share your next productivity tip, motivation tip?
So this is once again not really a motivational productivity tip, but it's for if your book is stuck. If you feel like your story is like not really moving or you're getting bored with it, like just focus on basically injecting like as much drama as possible into the scene that you're writing. So that you're not bored with the scene. Like really just think about like how can you have like as much tension, how can you like introduce information that complicates things. I think a little while ago I was just starting to feel like my book was very stagnant and not going anywhere, and none of the scenes were doing anything. And so then I just kind of started trying to focus on really including just heightening the drama, honestly. And now it made it so entertaining. I want to know what happens. So I have to keep writing it. So I feel like it's just if you're stuck, it's a good way to, first of all, get unstuck by making the scenes more engaging to write, but also making it a more compelling story because there's more drama.
Throw some magic marbles down the chimney.
Yeah.
See what happens. I really like that. I struggle with that. I think a lot of people who are trying to write literary fiction often kind of start with character and then get stuck on plot.
Yeah.
So you can introduce a random plot element. It doesn't have to stay when you're editing. But
yeah, and my book has very little plot in it. It's very character driven, but because of that, that's I think why I was struggling, because there was nowhere really for the story to go. And so then I just kind of tried to focus on the drama between characters, because really that's what the book is about, and just heightening the drama. I think everything was too simple. I was let's get these people in arguments. Let's go. So it makes it more entertaining to write, and it makes the book more entertaining to read. So
somebody patronizes somebody else.
Yeah. Do you have another tip that you would like to share?
Yeah, so potentially a bit counterintuitive having just shared our little sprint word counts, but I was going to suggest if word counts aren't working for you, leaving them behind. Again, slightly controversial in the context of NaNoWriMo, but I think a lot of us actually don't try and win it, and those people are probably the ones that tend to get a bit kind of harmfully attached to how they're doing word count wise. So I think it's fine to not look at the word count, and if it's something that you notice is affecting how you're feeling about your own writing to the point where it's kind of stopping you from working better and enjoying it more, then you should just apply an official ban and just not let yourself look at it, and then it's just something you're writing for fun, hopefully.
Yeah, I think that's a really good tip. I stopped doing NaNoWriMo for years because when I first started doing it, I was really dedicated to winning. And so then I stopped because I was well, I don't have time to win, so there's no point in doing NaNoWriMo. And then I only started doing it again basically when I was wait a second. I could just not care about the word count. It's okay to lose. There's no prize for winning and no consequence for losing. So then
Yeah.
I started doing NaNoWriMo just without word counts. And, I don't write 50,000 words or even close, but it's a really great time. And I feel like I always end up writing more than I expect to just
Hmm.
from like the commitment to like trying my best, really. And I feel like
Yeah.
it honestly makes it more enjoyable because I feel like sometimes when there's word counts, it can kind of start to feel like assignmenty. Like you're just like checking your word
Yeah.
count all the time to see
It's
like like when you're writing an essay and you're like, oh god, I hit the word count.
yeah, it's you don't want to turn your enjoyable creative time into project management. And
Yeah,
kind of monitoring your stats too much can do that to a creative project. So
yeah,
if it's not working for you, leave it. If it is, that's fine.
yeah. I feel like it's if it's motivating for some people, but I feel like for me, I realized when the reason I kind of realized I should do away with word counts is because I realized that there were a bunch of days where, I otherwise would have liked what I was writing, and they were like great days of writing. But because I didn't hit my like word count goal for the day, I viewed it as like a failure or a disappointment. And it was
Yeah.
like, kind of killing like what otherwise would have been like a day of writing I would have been proud of. And so then I just got
Yeah.
rid of word counts. I feel like just that's not really what motivates me, and so getting rid of it was the right move,
Yeah.
I think.
Actually heartbreaking because then instead of I don't know, appreciating that you've had a good writing time, then it's
Yeah,
judged by these like arbitrary criteria that don't really matter. So
yeah, yeah. That said, should we do a word sprout where we try to write as many words as possible?
yes, let's do it.
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter how many words you write. Like, if you write like 5 words, sometimes you just have to stare at your document for 15 minutes in order to figure out like what the start of a sentence is. Like, that's fine.
Mhm. Do you want to do a 15 again or 10 or
I could do 15 unless people in the chat object and they feel like they're too tired.
Before we go on to our next one, just for
Mhm.
people who've joined late, could we explain what it is a writing sprint is and what they should look to achieve each
Yes.
time?
If you've never done writing sprints before, basically, we just start a timer and you just focus on writing. And, like, really the goal is to just kind of, like, not leave your document. Really, the goal is supposed to be to write as many words as possible, but I just like to think of it as, 15 minutes to just dedicate to writing. Um, and then you can work on whatever you want, whatever you're working on. And then usually we just come back and share how many words we wrote, or what we wrote, or how it went. So it's just kind of like a group productivity motivation. It seems like everyone says 15 minutes, so that seems like the group consensus.
Let's do it.
All right, starting in 3, 2.
Hey.
How was that? 1 second. I'm just finishing this sentence before I completely forget where it's going. Okay, there we go. Now that I'm done cheating by writing outside the sprint, how did that
I
go
think we'll allow it.
for you?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Still on the monologue. I've kind of got another monologue, so I ended up switching to that near the end. But these monologues are fun, so
Yeah,
I'm enjoying
I
it.
feel like they are. I did like kind of a character development exercise recently because I felt like I just needed to like get outside the book itself, and it was the same one from if anyone was here for the character development uh, webinar that I did earlier in the year. It was that exercise where it's just like kind of questions for like guided character monologues, basically. Um,
hmm
and you can get such good material and like learn such interesting things just by kind of like following a monologue and seeing where it's going.
I need to look that webinar up and make sure I'm answering all those questions. Somebody said that they did. Um, I missed it. 400 words and also peeled their dinner potatoes. So I just enjoy the range of
That's
tasks.
multitasking.
Um,
Six. That's some of you guys
that's
can
a
write
lot.
so fast.
Somebody did
517.
900.
How? 492, but mainly dialogue, no description.
Dialogue is
Honestly,
real.
sometimes dialogue can be so fast to write that I feel like sometimes once you get in like a good group with dialogue, it just like it's so nice. It flows so well. I did free writing about my main character and got further with that a lot. Nice. Love free writing. 248 words this time, not quite as productive. All dialogue though. Bunch of typing and quotation marks.
Oh, the punctuation struggles.
How much did you write, Cleopatra?
Let me see. I have written a total of 817 since we started. So
Nice.
probably about as much as I did before.
Nice.
How about you?
In the last one, if I'm remembering where I ended off the first sprint correctly, I think 480.
Very nice. Um, oh, I didn't plan with Martin ahead of time, so I could show a screen share of the Reedsy book editor. But I am actually writing in that. If you don't know what that is, that's the Reedsy writing and book formatting app. And the reason I bring it up is because it's got these little stats about how many words you've written as well as deleted while writing, which is always fun. So apparently, I've removed 284 words. Um, that sounds like a lot. I feel like I'm more productive than I realize having having that in
Yeah.
mind. So
I feel like I delete so much when I write. Like, it's I feel like for me when I write, it's a lot of like writing and then backtracking and then rewriting, and
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
really notice that I do it. Like, it's very unconscious. Um,
same. Which is why this stat is so fun.
yeah.
Um,
Cleopatra,
yeah.
the president of YouTube just texted me. They told me that if we don't get 150 likes for this video in the next 3 minutes, they're
Oh
going to
my
shut us down.
goodness.
Can you do something about
Um,
that?
we've been hijacked. Can everybody give this video a like, please?
We're not desperate
From
for the likes. We just need it for
Yeah, we're
YouTube.
not desperate. We're not.
from the realm beyond. It's not us. It's the realm
It's
beyond.
just, it's a request from the president of
From
YouTube. We have no choice.
yeah.
Ooh, would you guys? A lot of folks in the comments have been talking about playlists. Do you either of you have any playlist ideas that you're willing to share?
I mean, I don't really know if it's an idea. I just make one for every book that I write with like music that reminds me of it. Um, I think for me, like music is like a really important part of my writing process. So whenever I start working on a project, I kind of just start assembling all the music that reminds me of it. So I can listen to that when I write, or if I want to do brainstorming. I find it helpful. I know some people get too distracted with music to write, but I can't write without it.
Don't we have Reedsy Spotify, Martin? I think we made some
Do
playlists
we?
for people a while
Do
ago.
we?
I think Maya spent like a solid week and a half putting together some really quality playlists. They're
I
triggered
didn't
by
know this.
a quiz somewhere. I can try dig them out, and then people can
Okay.
quiz, uh, and then get a bunch of playlists. But there's like, I remember I downloaded the one that was all like movie music, which I think tends to be my jam.
Oh yeah. If you get distracted by like lyrics, I think soundtracks are great. A really great thing to write to if you can't write with music with lyrics is video game soundtracks because they're designed to make you focus. Um, because they're
Interesting.
designed for you to listen to while you're doing something. I don't even play video games, but I can't remember, someone told me this once. Because they're literally designed to be in the background while you're focusing on a task. They can be like really really great for writing too.
Yeah, I think for me it tends to be more mood dependent. Um, so my kind of go-to is like sad acoustic covers of songs that I already know, just because it doesn't distract me from what's going on.
Yeah,
And generally acoustic tends to be like a bit pared down and not as attention demanding. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I think if you're writing a scene that is quite emotionally charged, then it's worth just searching on Spotify for like that kind of mood of a playlist. Um, so like you wouldn't want to be writing an epic fight scene with the like
Yeah.
totally stress-free Spotify playlist. That's something I listen to when I'm working sometimes, um, but probably not helpful. Shailin, what are you working on right now? Somebody's asking.
I'm working on a novel. Um, I don't know what can I say about it. It's about weird family relationships and arson, and yeah, it's pretty fun. It's getting weird, progressively weird, which I think is what I wanted. It was too normal near the beginning, and I was like, "This isn't very good," and so I just kind of committed to letting it get like weird, and now it's going great. There's a
I think
cult now. I'm having a great time.
there's a what?
There's a cult now. Yeah,
Oh,
having a great time. What are you working on, Cleopatra?
potentially a novel. Not sure if it's gonna become one yet. But it is also about families, um, and kind of the push and pull of hometowns.
Oh,
Potentially. I'm not really sure where it's going, but
someone asked
yeah.
if I'm writing House of the Dragon. That is a TV show based on a book by George R. R. Martin that I have zero involvement with.
Yeah, I think
Why? Because it's about weird families and arson. Is that why?
if you're getting HBO money, you probably shouldn't be doing this job as well.
I I wish. No, I'm not.
Imagine HBO being your side hustle.
Yeah, that's my side hustle. I'm
Uh,
actually yeah.
Good news, folks. The president of YouTube got back. We have sufficient likes to keep us
Thank
going
God.
for
I
another,
was so worried.
at least for another 10 minutes while we do our next sprint.
Okay.
Is there going to be anything after this final sprint?
Uh,
We will stick around for a little Q&A. Yeah. Little one. I think we'll have time for like what, like a little 20 minute Q&A maybe.
sounds fun. Did you want to share another tip before the next
Right.
sprint?
One more tips. I have one final tip. So another tip, if you're stuck, um, I find if I'm stuck or like I'm at a point where I don't really know what is supposed to happen next, is to do what I call a little plot diagnosis, where you basically just start writing out kind of as simply as possible, like all of the conflicts and tensions that are currently like most prevalent, and kind of start writing out like, so whatever happened in your previous chapter, write it out in like a really simple term, and then kind of write out like how it changed things and how it affected motivations and how it furthered the plot, and just like do that as simply as possible, kind of lay out all the pieces you have. um, and I find it's a really good way to like clearly identify where to go next, because sometimes it's like when you're writing something, it's like what the scene accomplished, but until you put it into words, it can kind of be hard to like string it into the next scene. So I always find that just like writing it out for yourself in a really simple way is a great way to unstick a book, and usually within like 5 sentences of that, the book is back on track.
I like that you're calling it a diagnosis.
Yeah, it's just like I have to figure out what's going on with this book sometimes.
Yeah, that sounds like a very, very useful thing to do, that I should be doing very soon. Um, and generally, I think very useful for pantsers that
Yeah,
just do not have outlines. So I think first drafts without an outline tend to be a lot messier, and you will have to pause kind of on the way and think about where you're going next. Whereas if you had a kind of, yeah, fuller outline, then a diagnosis wouldn't maybe be so radically
yeah, you
needed.
probably don't really need it. Yeah, you've done that before. Yeah, I find it's like
Uh,
a good way, especially if you're writing something that's like not super plot driven. Because if it's more plot driven, it can be pretty clear what needs to happen next. But sometimes if you're writing something that's more character driven, a lot of like what's affecting the story is so like subtextual and implicit sometimes, um, that I find like sometimes you just have to write it out so that, because it's probably like implicit in the book, so you kind of need to write it out so it's like clear to you. I find that really helps.
I really like that tip. Thank you.
Do you have a final tip to share?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you're feeling stuck, to try and surround yourself with things and people that get you excited about writing.
Yeah.
Whether that's like reading books that are fun to read, or books that you feel the author had fun writing. Those are often very fun.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to feel that with murder mysteries quite a lot. If you can kind of tell that the author is like really enjoying setting things up for you to kind of fall into. But also like uh, things like this channel, or like the Reedsy prompts contest. There's like a nice little community of people commenting on each other's short stories every week. So if you don't know what that is, that's like our weekly short story contest. I'm sure Martin can put a link in the chat if anybody's curious. But just anything that makes you feel like you're writing with other people, um, and people who are also excited to write and talk about writing, I think always helps. Basically, just not writing in a void with no other books or
Yeah.
writers around you.
Yeah.
um, and, and also
Surrounding yourself with that stuff is so helpful.
and also like going to book events like the George Saunders stuff, or uh, signing up to authors newsletters, um, Martin's newsletter, just a
Yeah.
casual promo of Martin's newsletter. Um, but yeah, just kind of feeling involved and like you're not
Yeah.
isolated from the writing world.
Yeah. That's such a good tip. I love going to like readings and events. I remember when I first started going to readings, learning very quickly that I had to bring a notebook with me. Because even if I was like stuck, something about hearing other people read, I don't know, it's very motivating. Yeah, you just feel like you're part of a community. It would always give me ideas, and it's like, okay, I have to bring a notebook, or else I'll get great
Yeah,
lines, and I can't write them on my phone because then it looks like I'm texting during the reading. I don't want to be that
that is
person.
true.
Yeah.
And
Do
authors
you
always
have
get
a
asked.
favorite? I wanted to
Sorry.
ask, do you have like a favorite author newsletter other than Martin's great newsletter for people who?
I recently subscribed to George Saunders' one. It's called Story Club. It's on Substack, and
Mhm.
he kind of reads stories with people and breaks them down
Oh, I
from
love
kind of
that.
from a writer's perspective, which is very cool.
Nice.
Um, do you have any? I think you said you subscribed to Sweater Weather.
Oh, so to what?
Sweater Weather, the Brandon Taylor's one.
Yeah, that's the one that I was about to say. Probably my favorite. I really like Brandon Taylor's. Just because I don't know, I just really like the way he writes about writing craft, and um, he does a lot of kind of like pop culture analysis, and it's just always really interesting. There have been multiple books where I was like halfway through the newsletter and I was like, wait, I have to go read the book because he's really selling it, even if he didn't like it. It's yeah, probably my favorite newsletter. Are there any others? That's the main one that I really like. I feel like there was something else that I was going to recommend. Oh yeah, I haven't listened to it in a while, but I used to. This is gonna sound so pretentious. I'm so sorry. But
Go for it.
if you write short stories, the New Yorker has a podcast where basically they just get like authors to read stories from their archives. So you get like kind of a little audiobook reading of a short story, and then they just discuss it afterwards. Um,
Oh,
and I used to listen to that a lot when I was first writing short stories, and it's just like super super insightful. Because you get to listen to like some of the best contemporary writers talk about and dissect like why they liked a certain story. Um, and it's also just like a great way to kind of just if you have like a long walk, just like chill out and listen to a short story.
I love that. I need to look that up. Thank you.
All right, shall we move on to our final? I'm just saying this because I haven't had dinner yet, and Cleopatra, you probably haven't had either. Um, should we do a 10-minute one and follow that up with a bit of a Q&A hangout time?
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
sounds good.
All right, cool. Starting in 3, 2,
Hello. I think Mite is
We,
proud of all of us.
yeah, we all get a congratulations for that one.
How did you find that?
It was okay. I was starting a new. I finished a scene on the last one, so I was starting a new scene. So it was a bit like, when you start a new scene and it's like, where am I going with this? Like, I know where I'm going with this, but how do I get into it? So it was okay. How about you?
Yeah, it was kind of slower. I feel like I gathered a little bit of momentum that has now run out.
Yeah, same.
But I tried. Um, I think that's why we're all here, just to try.
Yeah,
So I'm happy with that. How did
yeah,
everybody else do? Small but mighty. Yes.
yeah, yeah. Same on this one. We discovered your writing notebook. What secrets are in your writing notebook?
That's fun. Somebody's done
Yes, good job, everyone.
448.
In 10 minutes, that's good.
Yeah, that's
562
fast.
in 10 minutes.
Yay for dialogue.
Yay. Ooh, writing a good scene. Nice.
It would be so cool if we could have like a sum of what everybody who was here wrote all added together.
That would,
But
yeah, that'd
alas,
be cool.
no potatoes this time. That's good. They were managed in the previous sprint.
Cool. So, if anyone has a question or wants to have Shaelin and Cleopatra discuss anything, do send that in. But first, here's an older question from Delia Tomkus.
Aha. Shaelin, do you want to take this one?
Sure. Yes, so Reedsy offers editing and design services. Basically, we're a marketplace for writers to hire publishing freelancers for things like different types of editing services, design, like cover design, stuff like that. Illustrations,
Marketing.
yeah, yeah, marketing also. So yeah, and then we also just have like a ton of different free resources along with that.
Cool. So you can get editors and designers. There must be like literally any old person off the street, right?
Oh, no, no, no. So yeah, all of the freelancers on our marketplace are vetted and they have like extensive publishing experience. So you can hire people who've worked at like big five publishers who've worked on huge titles. So it's not like you are hiring some person whose only qualification is like high school English. They're all very qualified
Like
people with a lot
we
of industry experience.
we couldn't sign up to edit your books if we wanted to, because we
Yeah,
just
no.
haven't worked in Big Five or sublime indie presses. So anybody who's made it to the marketplace has the experience to be there. How do you get over making decisions in your writing? I'm stuck between 3 different endings, and I'm not sure what the best way to go is. Interesting. Oh, that's very big.
Hmm.
uh, um,
Oh.
Oh my god! I'm so sorry. I've lost control of this box. Oh no!
um,
Oh, I thought that that was like a pun because Cleopatra was like, "Oh, that's a big question." That you made it like a big question.
oh dear.
No, I just try to make it fit in that space exactly in order for me.
How do you pick between 3 different endings? I think maybe you have to go back to like the kind of core. I don't want to say message because message sounds like you're kind of
Yeah.
evangelizing through your book
Yeah.
with the one truth you want to promote. But I'm guessing that you want to say something with the story you've written, and so maybe one way to choose among the endings would be to just go back to your original idea for what you wanted the book to show or to say, or what you believe about what your book is about, and then see which one of the endings does that best.
Yeah, I think I would completely echo that. I'd say that like, you know, yeah, like think about what it is that you're trying to say, whether that's about like a theme or whether that's about your character. Um, and pick the ending that kind of says that thing or reveals that thing that you want the story to say about whatever it is it's trying to say. I kind of also a lot of the time like to think of it as like a question. So like ask yourself like what are the core questions that this book is asking, and then kind of think about which ending would answer them in the way that you want them to be answered.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm going to try to rearrange this in such a way that... All right, Cleopatra, I'm afraid I'm going to move you up. Here we go. Sorted.
forgiven. A lot of notes for characters' names, for places, character locations and events, innumerable ideas. How do you organize them? Shaelin, I don't have experience with this specific problem.
Yeah, I would say that like I can't say that this is a huge problem for me just because I tend to write like smaller scale stuff that doesn't have like a ton of characters or anything. So I have like a notes document where I just keep like track of basic notes, and I just kind of have like a heading for characters and one for like quotes or passages that I want to be in the book later, and one for like general plot notes. And it's not that organized and it's not that extensive. Um, if you have a ton of stuff, then you can look at, I don't know, like a program like Scrivener or something, which has like a ton of kind of built in templates to organize um, all of your notes. Personally, I find it helps to just, like, I just organize my stuff in like a word processor and kind of just break it up by headings. But if you have like really, really extensive notes and stuff, yeah, something like Scrivener might help. I know a lot of people really like it. It's just more complicated than I need, so I don't really use it myself.
There are some planning features coming soon on the Reedsy book editor, but they aren't there yet. So I think for events and locations, I would say to try and do like a timeline.
Yeah, I
If you
also
have it
for
ready.
events, like a good way to start if you have like tons of plot events, like notes on plot events, and you don't really know, like no idea of what order they should be in, to just start by grouping them into like beginning, middle, and end. Just like write down 3 headings, beginning, middle, and end, and just start like putting your notes into like kind of generally which section of the book they would go in. I find is like a good way to start.
Okay, I've got a new question here. Martian Eyes asks, what kind of things are okay to be missing from a first draft? I keep getting confused over writing descriptions of things. I guess like things that if you get stuck on, you just might be okay to gloss over and figure out later.
I would say that anything is okay to gloss it over and figure out later
Yeah.
in a first draft. Like, if something is giving you trouble to the point that you can't progress, then just skip over it, No, probably no one is ever going to read this draft except you. Um,
Yeah.
so it really doesn't matter. And it just depends on the person, whether you feel like you need, like, how detailed you need your first drafts to be. But description is definitely something that I would not worry about on the first draft because it's probably not going to affect your story, like events that much. So it's definitely a very easy thing to come back and add later or fix up later. So if you're struggling with description, I would just not really worry about it at this stage.
Yeah. There are no hard rules. It's your first draft, so you can put in it whatever you want to.
Okay, I've got a question here from Emily Green. What do you suggest for fitting in writing time when you have another job and other responsibilities? And also when it comes to sending out work for publication. Cleopatra, you have a full-time job here at Reedsy. How do you fit in
Yes, I do.
your writing?
I try not to put pressure on myself to be doing it literally every 3 minutes I have. And that's partly why NaNoWriMo has been a little bit stressful, because it does ask you to do that every day. But I think kind of designating days when you don't expect yourself to even try is a good practice, because it doesn't make you end up beating yourself up too much. And then generally, I think it depends on whether you're a morning or a night person. I am not a morning person, so I cannot do that glorious thing where you're like up before dawn, everybody's still in their bed, and you're writing your manuscript. I can't do that. But I do try and do it at, say, 10 to 12 at night, that kind of range. People don't generally look for you that much then, unless you're in extremely active group chats that you'll have to mute, because those thrive at those hours. But yeah, I mean, also, I don't have like kids right now, so I fully understand that other people's responsibilities could be more time consuming and harder to just put aside, and that's okay. And please don't like be mean to yourselves if you're busy people. Just try.
Yeah.
So there you
I
have
feel
it.
like that's the main
Cleopatra's
thing. Don't be
advice,
mean to
stay
yourself.
harmless. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, I think that's like, just like, don't be mean to yourself. You know, it's better to, you know, be kind to yourself and like not feel like you're like a bad writer if you're not writing every day, tons of words. You know, we all have lives, and it doesn't, like, I don't know, sometimes it's easy to romanticize this idea of like, you know, the writer who like, yeah, like wakes up at dawn or writes for hours every day or something, but that's not realistic for most people. So it's just like, it's okay to just do what you can and not feel like you need to, I don't know, reach some insane bar. Like, I think there's this like idea that a lot of people have where it's like, writing is like my second job, and it's like, well, if it's not actually your job, like if you're not getting paid for it and you're not on contract and you're not on deadline, like you don't have to treat it like your second job. That's just gonna like probably burn you out really bad. It's okay for it to be a hobby, something that you do for fun. You don't want it to start to feel like a chore, because then it'll start to feel miserable. Like, I think it's good to like protect your writing as something that's like special and enjoyable for you, and that might mean writing less or not like putting like really insane expectations on yourself. I think that that's probably better than maybe getting the book done a little faster but hating it or not having time for friends or anything like that.
Again, I don't think writing time should turn into project management. Sorry, Martin, you were going to say something?
I don't know. Yeah. I've just got another question here. Probably going to make it one of the last ones, but this one's a little bit more specific craft-wise. From Claudia Chauvet. I'm having a hard time connecting my chapters. I've tried mixing the beginning of different actions and dilemmas, but still the book seems out of whack. Shaelin, how do you normally approach the start of your chapters?
So for me, the way that I like to see chapters is kind of like my unit of the story. So it's going to be different for every book, but for every book I like to think about like, what is a chapter in this book? You know, is a chapter like a full arc that circles around an event, or is a chapter like more of a brief snapshot? And so I like to really have a good understanding of kind of like that unit and what every chapter is going to accomplish. And so then it kind of becomes clear when you've accomplished that thing, it's time for the chapter to end and like start another one, you know? So for me, I don't really like cliffhangers. I don't write books that it would really make sense to have cliffhangers. So I, usually like to view, say, a chapter as kind of like an arc that starts at the beginning of the arc and ends at the end of the arc. And kind of just making sure that like the end of each arc gives like a little ignition to the next one. But it just depends on your book and kind of what you want from the pacing and the form of your book and the style of your book. But I think when you're in the early stages of writing a book, it helps to like sit down and kind of ask yourself like, what is the consistent unit of a chapter that I'm using here? Because I think that that's a really helpful tool for you as the writer to stay on track and kind of understand how the pieces of your story work. And then it also really helps you like control the pacing and create very like even pacing in the end.
Yeah, I would also say if you're still on the first draft, you can't just leave the connecting to later,
Yeah.
and just focus on getting all of the events and chapters you want down in some form or other, and yeah, you can deal with that when you're editing. If it's
Yeah.
something that's actually kind of stopping you from progressing while still in the first draft.
Yeah, it's really easy to change like where your chapter breaks are. That's such an easy thing to move. You just move the chapter heading. So it's totally okay to not really know. And the beginning of a chapter, I think for a lot of people, those can be like really difficult points. I know for me, the beginning of a chapter is usually quite a difficult point. So if it's like really difficult for you, maybe don't even want to break your first chapter into chapters, and you want to do that later.
Cool. I think that brings us to the end. Cleopatra, what should the folks at home know about Reedsy?
What should the folks at home know about Reedsy? You mean other than what Shaelin already said?
I mean, it's another chance for us to plug the service. So.
Okay. Reedsy is a marketplace where if you're looking for an editor or a marketer, a book designer or illustrator or an author website designer even, you can find any of those professionals and kind of work with them on your book. And it's free to sign up. You can go on our platform and browse through profiles like you're browsing dream homes and just imagine what it would be like to work with them. Other than that, we have a lot of free resources. Sorry, there's some iPad ringing somewhere. We have free learning courses you can take. I'm sure, Martin, you can drop a link to our learning courses in the chat.
Yep.
And yeah, we have a weekly writing contest and just a blog where we put a lot of free educational content for anybody looking for it. Generally, we just try and help if we can.
Cool. I think your video may have frozen at the at this point, so we might as well call it to an end. Shaelin, any last thoughts for the gang?
Oh, I didn't hear what you said. I just heard any last thoughts on, and then not what it was supposed to be.
Oh, any last thoughts to share with the folks at home?
Good luck with the rest of NaNoWriMo, everyone. It's the final stretch. Just do what you can. Have fun. The important thing is having fun. And I laugh when I say that, but actually that is true. So, yeah, good luck. Congratulate yourself for what you've done, no matter how many words it is.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.